Hello, hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome to a new edition of our show titled Speak of Africa. We have a lot of news for you today, but before we begin, we want to say thank you to all our subscribers. Thank you to all our viewers. If you are viewing the show for the first time, my name is Prince Ojong, your host. We have a whole lot of news to share. What is really happening in the world? Well, too much trouble in the world. Too much trouble in the world, and this trouble really relates to the African continent. The most we can tell you, the second coming. Maybe it looks like the world is ending soon, right? That's the way we see a lot of signs. Those who are religious start feeling like the end of the world is coming. Okay? When you look at what is happening in the world, so many signs. You look at the Trump, what is happening? This week, we witnessed a lot of parades, the military parade. Then, of course, there were a lot of protests. The people who don't want Trump to be a king, you know, the American Revolution, remember? It was because the Americans did not want to continue supporting the British monarch. And that's what resulted in the American Revolution. Today, we are also seeing even the judges President Donald Trump appointed rising against him, telling him America remains a democracy, a country where there should be divisions of power, where you should have the executive branch, the judiciary, and the legislature. So the presidency should not really dominate as Trump is trying to do as an authoritarian leader. So we have a lot of these happenings, especially in Los Angeles, with the militarization of the city against the wishes of the governor and the leaders of the state. All of these factors are really coming to a head. Matters are coming to a watershed. So that's what we see. When we look at this, we feel bad for the world, we feel bad for our people. Of course, we hear Donald Trump is going to continue adding more African countries, maybe 36 more countries to the travel ban and restrictions. Why is he focusing so much on Africa? When we look at a lot of the Trump policies, during the first term, he called us shithole countries. And as if that was not enough, with Trump 2.0, the second coming, he's doubling down on his racism and hatred for Africa. But the good news is, we see that the Africa's diaspora is responding. The Africa's diaspora is dynamite. It is exploding. It is exploding the policies of Trump's racism. That's what we see. When we look at this, we say we should not just complain. But before we begin, I want to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. Happy Father's Day. If you have a child or you don't have a child, if you are male, I still look at you like a father. So do something for young people. Look at yourself as a role model for young people. Treat a young person you know as a father. A father figure would really be positive for the lives of a lot of young people we see today. A lot of kids don't really have fathers living with them in the house. So if you can be a father figure for a child, you'll be making a big difference in a child's lives. So that would be a good way to celebrate Father's Day. So we say, do something in your community to help a child who lives in a home where there's no father. That should be your mission. That should be what you should try to do to make the world a better place. There's so much trouble in the world, but we think by doing this, you can try to change things a little bit. So let's not worry much about the Donald Trump travel bans and the parade and this seizure of Los Angeles, the militarization. The forces of law and order have taken over that city. But the judges are reining in Donald Trump. They are not letting him run the country as a dictator. He's trying, but they are curtailing his powers. They are curtailing his powers, and a smart person would have really been able to say, well, I've done enough, let me back down. But it looks like Donald Trump is not backing down. So he has the spectacle. The ICE, they are everywhere, immigration and customs enforcement. They are everywhere, raiding cities, different neighborhoods, and especially they are targeting democratic bastions. And that's what we say is not a good sign. Then the militarization of the country is not good. The politicization of the military is not good also. So those are some of the things we hear from Americans all over. And it looks like Donald Trump's polling numbers are falling. For the first time, even in immigration, Donald Trump is losing on immigration. That has been his strength, but from what we see in the American media, Donald Trump is losing in that area too. But we want to say, most of these countries in Africa, how do the Trump policies affect us? For one, you know that the African diaspora is a very powerful force. We've been talking about the diaspora of Israel. They do a lot for Israel. The African diaspora is doing a lot for Africa, but people don't even talk about it. It's like they don't sing their praises. When you look at remittances, a lot of money is sent to Africa every year by Africans who are in the diaspora. Without their presence in the diaspora, a lot of their families in the motherland will be suffering a whole lot. So we on this show want to recognize the efforts people in the diaspora are making to feed their families, to support their families in the motherland. This is commendable. The diaspora is doing a lot. So let's accept the fact and let's acknowledge these efforts. Okay? Then let's begin with Benin. In Benin, we talked to you in the past about the policy of Patrice Talon. Benin is giving citizenship to the members of Africa's diaspora. So this is a commendable. They make it easy. If you are of African descent, you can become a citizen of Benin easily. And I think in 10 months, Patrice Talon will be stepping down as president. So he has been able to work this out to give citizenship to people of African descent, whether they're in the Americas or they are in Europe. He welcomes them to Benin with open arms. So this is commendable, and we ask the presidents of other African countries to follow the lead of Patrice Talon, just the way the former president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, did by welcoming Black Americans back to Africa. So let's welcome, because when you look at the African diaspora, it's really big. And from what we understand, the biggest population of the African diaspora is Brazil. Then after Brazil, you have the United States. Then you have other places like Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela, Haiti. You have a lot of Africans in most of these places. So let's wake up the African diaspora and let them take action to reshape the map of Africa, to reshape what is happening in Africa itself. So we can rely on the diaspora, because the diaspora is really powerful. It is a sleeping giant. So we want the African diaspora to wake up and try to do things to change what is happening on the ground in the motherland. We've been complaining a lot about the forces of neocolonialism. Africa's diaspora can do a lot to change the politics, to change the economy, to change the society. This is what the Jewish diaspora has done in Israel and is still doing every day. Next, we take you to La République du Cameroon. In La République du Cameroon, we have a lot of major stories. They also have a big diaspora. In fact, President Joe Biden had offered Cameroonians living in the United States the TPS, temporary protection status. When President Donald Trump came, he took that away from them, and now the people are living in limbo. So this is a problem. Cameroonians have a lot of issues in their country. In the north, you have the issue with Boko Haram. In the west, you have the issue with the Ambazonian Revolution. So then, of course, you still have a lot of manage. In October, Cameroonians are going to the polls. But the ruling CPDM wants to win again. They're using all types of tricks. They are not even announcing a timetable for elections. Maurice Kamto returned from France, we told you last week, but they will not even let him communicate with his supporters. So what kind of democracy is this? It's really terrible. Then soon you say, oh, Elekam has declared Paul Biya the winner. This time, it looks like things are going to be different from what we see. Cameroonians are sick and tired of Paul Biya. It would be a mistake for Paul Biya's handlers to think that they would impose this marionette on them again. Cameroonians have had it up to here. And Paul Biya himself is vegetable. On 20th May, Cameroonians saw that this is not the guy running their country. So they know it. So the PDM, which is the ruling party, is a mess. They don't even want the opposition parties to campaign for elections. But at the end, the CPDM is going to say, oh, we won, because Elekam belongs to the CPDM party. When you exclude other people from political discourse, you're creating problems in the country. That's why you have Boko Haram in Cameroon, because the political space is monopolized by bad guys, bad actors from Biya's Bulu tribe. Okay? Next, we take you to Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast is also having presidential elections in October 2025. But already, Alassane Ouattara, a French puppet, does not want to step down. He's arguing that he can actually run for a third term. And he's coming up with a lot of justifications. The people don't want him to run for a third term. Even Laurent Gbagbo is saying, trop c'est trop, enough is enough, Alassane Ouattara. But Alassane Ouattara does not want to go into the sunset. He wants to stay as president. Who is going to push him out? Well, the young people of Ivory Coast are protesting, especially when Alassane Ouattara decided to sideline the main opposition candidate, like Tidjane Thiam, the former CEO of Credit Suisse. So this has really created a whole lot of problems. Even though Tidjane Thiam is not in the country, it's in France, when they disqualified him because they claimed he had dual nationality, Ivory Coast and France, this created a whole lot of problems in Ivory Coast. And we're feeling the pinch right now. The opposition is crying foul and the people are on the street. They are protesting and marching. So there's a lot of conflict. How is this going to end? Well, it remains to be seen. But it looks like Alassane Ouattara will have no choice but to bow down to the dictates of the new African Spring. What about Kenya? In Kenya, we are not really happy because William Ruto is a dictator. This guy was elected democratically, but the way he runs his government, you think this is another Donald Trump. The guy travels a lot, and the guy allows the police to kill people with impunity. This week, we told a guy who was a blogger, he was just blogging on his page, complaining about police brutality. What happened? The police in Kenya picked him up. His name is Albert Ojong. In less than 24 hours, the police beat the hell out of him until he died. Now there's a lot of protests going on in Kenya. People are asking themselves, how can you arrest somebody, you put him in police custody, and he dies? Come on. This is not what should happen in a democracy. So we don't know what William Ruto thinks is happening in his country. When Kenyans went before and protested against the tax bill, did William Ruto not learn a lesson? It seems he did not. Because this guy is hell-bent on staying in power. He's hell-bent on being a dictator. Why must you send the police to arrest people when they are expressing their free speech, which is enshrined in the constitution of the country? And that's why people are raising alarms and they are concerned. Even Amnesty International is complaining. This is too much. Let people protest. This is their right. Human rights are enshrined in the constitution of the country. Yet you behave like those rights do not exist in the constitution. Then why do you have a constitution? So you are making a mockery of democracy, which is what William Ruto is doing in Kenya. It seems he has not learned any lessons from the tax complaint and protests that happened a few months ago in Kenya. You think you should have learned a bitter lesson, but dictators never learn. They don't learn. That's the truth. Then we take you now to Nigeria. In Nigeria, we are seeing a country where things are run on autopilot. Bola Tinubu fought to become president. Oh, it's my turn, it's my turn. Now it's your turn. What are you doing about it? Bola Tinubu is allowing the conflict between armed herdsmen and farmers to deteriorate into an armed conflict. Farmers want to have their land, they want to grow their crops, but northern herdsmen are traveling to this land and grazing openly. So it's creating a lot of conflict. The resources belong to the farmers, yet the herdsmen come there and think that they can just graze their cattle with joyful abandon. This is creating a conflict. When we saw over 100 people killed in Benue State this week, after we told you again last week, people were killed also again in Benue State. It's like every week people are dying in Benue State. Bola Tinubu will not even call those families, will not even visit the area in Benue, Yeleweta, where the people have lost their lives. Yet, this same Bola Tinubu, who doesn't care about his people, is calling the Indian government to express his condolence. How hypocritical can a president be? That's what we see with Bola Tinubu. He's spending all his time worrying about 2027, dismantling the APC and other opposition parties. So when he wins re-election, what's going to happen? Same thing like what Buhari did. He stayed there for 8 years until his turn came, doing nothing. No, the only thing he wants to do is steal the resources of the country. Then this week also, Bola Tinubu decided to posthumously pardon the Oguni 9. The Oguni 9 consists of 9 members of the Oguni community in Nigeria who were hanged by the government of Sani Abacha. Oguni land is a place that has a lot of oil in Nigeria. Shell and other multinational corporations have created a lot of environmental problems. They have destroyed the land. They've used oil byproducts to pollute the area. So the people cannot actually farm anymore. When the people started protesting, Sani Abacha decided to kill them. His claim was what? He came up with trumped-up charges. He said Sarawiwa and the Nira 9, the Oguni 9, were the ones who killed pro-government chiefs. So it's like they just framed these people and killed them by hanging. It was very barbaric, but Sani Abacha was a barbarian. He did not care what anybody thought. The international community cried foul, but Sani Abacha decided not to listen to them. He continued with his plan. Okay? So those are the things that we see. We don't think granting them pardon posthumously means justice. We think justice needs to be given to the Oguni 9. This is not the way you give them justice. We have to give them justice by cleaning their place, by not giving free rein to Shell and other multinational oil companies operating in Nigeria. Bola Tinubu is the oil minister. He sleeps in bed. We take you to South Africa. In South Africa, over 49 people have lost their lives because of floods. These are all environmental hazards. Some of them are as a result of global warming. So we need to pay enough attention to climate change. But the Western world is behaving like this is not their business. Africans, fend for yourselves. The issues with global warming don't exist. And we see this even in the government of President Donald Trump. So this is not good. Finally, we take you to Zambia. In Zambia, we are announcing the death of Edgar Lungu, the former president of the country. He was defeated in an election by a guy who ran against him more than 4 times in the past. But the 5th time, the guy won. And the guy's name is Hakainde Hichilema. But it looks like the rivalry between these two guys has been overwhelming. Even in death, the rivalry has not stopped. They were rivals in life, and now they are rivals in death. The family of Edgar Lungu does not want him to receive a state burial. What's their complaint? Hakainde Hichilema did not treat his predecessor nicely. When Edgar Lungu was sick, he was not allowed to travel abroad for medical treatment. So this is their point of contention. So rivalry doesn't need to degenerate into personality conflicts. Unfortunately, in Africa, when you are president, you misbehave. You take the law into your own hands and you don't give freedom of speech to your opponents. Now, it looks like Hakainde Hichilema was teaching a bitter lesson to Edgar Lungu. Because even when Edgar Lungu was president, there were a lot of complaints too because he basically sold his country to China. So that was really a sad development. So in the end, we're seeing the African diaspora. Let the African diaspora continue to grow. We want the African diaspora to rise and reshape the narrative in the motherland. Like the Jewish diaspora, the African diaspora is rich and powerful. Let them use their riches to build a new Africa. They can contribute immensely. The same way Israeli citizens in the diaspora are doing for Israel. We challenge the African diaspora to do more. They are doing a lot, but we're challenging them to do more. Bye-bye. May God bless you.
Do you need tax preparation services? We can help. Contact PJ Tax Service, America's only full-time income tax preparers. Like the good old doctor, we do not close our doors after April 15th. In fact, we stay open all year round in order to serve you. We are located at 11207A, Lockwood Drive, Silver Spring, Maryland, 20901. Make an appointment today with Prince Ojong, your tax expert. Call 240-350-1131 or visit us on the web at www.pjtaxservice.com.
Selling a service or a product? Need buyers? Use the African Nation TV as a channel to reach many viewers. Act now and call Prince Ojong at 240-350-1131. That's 240-350-1131. Act today.